countdown is on the way.
Alright, so the players here are of course Harstem versus LLL.uThermal. If you've been following the DSCL for the couple past weeks, you'll know that these are some top level Dutch players. There's just nothing about it. And as this game has finally been loaded, I'll introduce to you these players. Here in the top right from Team Fnatic, the one and only team, it's the pink Protoss, Harstem. And in the bottom left of Daybreak, which we are on, from Team Lone Alliance, it's LLL.uThermal playing under the account name Traditional, in case you were wondering about that.
Alright, so we're going to see PvT starting on Daybreak once again. And, well, so people are generally a bit more comfortable with, they've seen Harstem play before, so his gameplay style should be pretty well known, but LLL.uThermal, bit more of an unknown player to people who may not be familiar with the Dutch scene. What do you know about this guy?
Well, I know he's changed his account name like 3 times, so I'm not too surprised that people don't really know who he is. You know, his account name on Twitch is something like Avalon. He's used LLL.uThermal, Traditional, and Curse as username, so that's a good way to get yourself back into anonymity. But in all honesty, though, if you've met him in person, you'll probably won't forget him because he's been active in the Dutch esports scene for a while. Still pretty young. He qualified for ESWC for the Netherlands, not last year, but the year before that, so it was 2011. And yeah, he went to Paris there, played for the Netherlands, represented the Netherlands, and has generally been, pretty much a staple in Dutch esports, playing for Lowland Lions now since not too long ago, actually.
All right, excellent, and yep. So yet another Lowlands Lions player, as like we said before, there are a number of them in this, one of the very strongest Dutch teams. So a lot of players representing them in both the team league and the individual league here. So glad to see them doing well, for sure. Big name in Dutch esports.
Yep. Same thing though kind of goes for Harstem. Of course, Fnatic is not a Dutch team, nor are they playing in the DSCL team league, but it's still one of the premier esports teams and has always been one of the premier esports teams for a long while. Their Counter-Strike roster was so incredibly well known at some point. They do change players quite a lot. Yeah. They had Oz and Revival on their roster for a while. We have since transitioned to Team Evil Geniuses. There's also always been a lot of switches, but Harstem, yeah, he's been pretty consistent there on the team for almost a year now. I think he started in Fnatic Academy after doing really well at DreamHack Summer, and well, DreamHack Summer is in a few more weeks, so that should almost mark his anniversary there.
And yep, so let's go ahead. Now that a few things have progressed, we do see a 1-Rax fast expand from LLL.uThermal, which is really no surprise there. And also pretty standard 2 gas, 2 workers in each stuff from Harstem, allowing himself a bit of flexibility in what he wants to do with his build. So very standard stuff for both these players so far.
Yeah. Interesting to note is, I think actually the gasless expand from Traditional or from LLL.uThermal is a bit, unexpected. I know that his playstyle likes to revolve around a lot of utility units, hence why he plays Terran, which can involve a lot of cheesing and rushes as well. Harstem, in response to this, has actually not skipped his early Zealot and is now actually going for a Sentry first rather than a Stalker first.
Do you see what LLL.uThermal has queued up here?
Oh yes, double command center.
This is some greedy play. We're talking about Poyo playing a bit greedy in that previous game, but this third command center is very, very, very early.
Yep. Harstem, on the other hand, actually went for double gas before expanding, so he's not playing greedy at all and actually rather safe with the early sentry. He just wants to play safe. Looks like there was a pause in the middle of the game, but no big deal. He has his mothership core. He was floating out onto the left side of the map because I think he was expecting a drop, but a drop already this early in the game is not very likely.
No, so not really sure what he was floating that over there for, but yeah, I mean, 2 sentries out already, and like you said, just playing pretty much as safe as humanly possible at this point in time. Getting that quick robo facility up, though, so, I mean, when you go for this quick robo, you want to be generally a bit safe with it to make sure, because you really can't get that big burst of gateway units with Warp Gate that you would normally try to defend early aggression with, but he feels comfortable going for this very quick robo after only 1 gate.
This is, for me, a very unusual build in Protoss versus Terran, because Protoss will usually try to get a Stalker out quickly and establish map control. And of course, the Robo Bay, he got the Robo Bay before double gateway, so he will get an observer out as soon as possible to scout with. 3 sentries is very uncommon, so this might actually be some sort of immortal sentry build, which is not at all common against Terran.
No, not even. You do see a hallucinated Phoenix trying to get a scout off, and actually gets picked off immediately. The Marine's in a very, very good spot. And, he definitely did not see that third command center, which is, well, you really want to scout that out if you're Harstem in the situation.
Yeah, he did see one of the gases, but at this point in the game that doesn't mean a whole lot, because of course Terran is going to have gases. And yeah, uThermal actually transitioning into a very standard, if somewhat greedy, bio play. You know, adding on the factory, so you can start making manifacts. And for me, it's definitely Harstem that should be making a play. Now adding on double forge, so no Immortal Sentry build, that's for sure. He's gonna just get upgrades, probably hand it in Colossi as soon as possible. And this early sentry count, well, I guess they were used for both defensive and scouting purposes, because you need a lot of sentry energy to actually cast hallucination and get good scout off.
Yeah, that second Phoenix chose a bit better, bit safer of a route, having seen the fate of the previous hallucinated Phoenix, so he rolls right in through the bottom instead and does scout out pretty much everything, so now Harstem does know what is going on with his Terran opponent. And at the same time, like you said, the double forge working on those +1/+1, chrono boosting them out. And, well, Warp Gate's now done, or at least now starting to come into effect with the 3 gates now complete, and getting the Robotics Bay as well. So very fast Colossus here from Harstem, and, well, he'll have a nice little composition, but we don't see this third base floated out quite yet from Thermal, just making SAVs, which is really nice to do. Obviously, mules are quite good, but not quite as strong as the opening he could have had if he, well, certainly not as greedy as if he had floated that command center out and started trying to mine from it, but this is a fine way to do it, and it's a bit safer as well. He was playing very greedy to start with, so this is a bit of a turn in the other direction, just trying to be safe with this command center.
There are just so many things I want to point out at this point. First of all, to note is, of course, the third orbital command. He's just managed to saturate both of his bases mineral lines, so he'll be floating that off pretty soon, I suspect. I also did not see a scan from uThermal in his opponent's base, which would have been really good, because Harstem has all of his tech completely nicely laid out in a grid closely together. If he had got a scan up, he would have seen that, you know, it's a robotics bay for, of course, Harstem. uThermal actually floating out his factory in a very Wings of Liberty-esque kind of style, and that will actually scout the somewhat early 30 by Harstem. Harstem playing, you know, so greedy, and Harstem is going to have to start building an army pretty soon, otherwise the the +1 stim timing with manifacts from uThermal is going to do a whole lot of damage. There goes the scan I meant, by the way, and you might even see the Colossus pop out.
And he will just barely see it if he was looking, and hopefully he was. But, well, yep, he does spot pretty much everything like you said, and, well, we do have a fair amount of gateways. Actually, what's this? A Twilight Council on the way as well, so just mostly for the upgrades, I assume, there, and getting charged as well will be quite nice as well. But still only 5 gateways, so no real aggression coming anytime too terribly soon. Still just trying to basically be safe, protect this third base as well, macro up, and get the exact tech upgrades and composition that he wants.
I was expecting more aggression from uThermal, but that actually doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because he went for this early third command, which means he will be powering up a bit more economy and not as much of a strong, you know, timing attack. He's up to 3 barracks with good constant production, adding on 2 more. But okay, he's got 4 medevacts, it's actually pretty serious. He could go for a Doom Dog just straight away. And keep in mind that Harstem only has 3 gateways. That's not a whole lot against constant Terran aggression.
And right now, I mean, this factory, it sees this army that's down here. I feel like Thermal could just live to go in the main if he wanted to, and it would be pretty safe to do right now, but instead he'll be scouted by the hallucinated Phoenix as well, so both players kind of know what's up with the other at this point in time, but yeah, uThermal has a pretty decently sized army here. Stim is complete. There is no concussive shell online just yet, which is, it's nice to have against Zealots for sure, but not a completely necessary upgrade. Might want to get that at some point, though. Time Warp Balloon on a whole lot of nothing, but it will deter uThermal from moving in a whole lot more than he was already.
This was because the mothership core was already on full energy, and it was kind of a waste not to do anything else. Important to note, Harstem has the Warp Prism warping in at the top left. He's had this for a while, but I don't think he's actually revealed it or done a whole lot with it. But there's the bunker here for uThermal at his third, which is really good, you know, to defend with. And yeah, both players are just heavily posturing at this point in the game. We do have the Templar Archives finished for Harstem, but he's chrono boosting it, but he hasn't started Storm. So I'm a bit concerned that might be a mistake on his part. He's getting 2-2 quite early, and well, at this point already the time is almost ended over for traditional to do. I mean, for uThermal to actually do any damage in terms of drops, and he just pulls back.
Yep, and I'd like to see maybe attempt something with one. Certainly doesn't have to go with all 4 of the medevacs, but yeah, cannons in place, pretty defensive postures. Like you said, it can be very hard to get a whole lot done here with those drops. And, well, right now, just both players sitting back on 3 base, happy to just get the tech they want, and I guess they just feel they're confident that they can take these late, large-game engagements. We already have Ghost. The Ghost Academy is complete as well. Mobius Reactor's almost done, so Ghost will be involved here as well. And goodbye, War Prism.
Goodbye, War Prism, indeed. You should open up the unit's loss tab. That will indicate just how passive this game has been. Almost nothing has killed yet. Both players are just going straight macro, straight into upgrades. Of course, Protoss with Chrono Boost will win this upgrade war. You might actually see something like a 3-3 timing with Storm and Colossi, against the army of uThermal.
Thermal does have a pretty decent supply lead, but I mean, it's a lot of that's in Bio and then Vikings, which I mean, the supplies can be a little bit deceiving. These Ghosts will have a pretty high impact as well. Whereas, well, what's the Colossus count at right now for Harstem? It is only at 1, and he's relying on those Templar, like you said. Going to be kind of tough to... We kind of overmade Vikings for the number of Colossi, but he did scout them, so I can't really blame him for making that many. So nice little kind of a juke out there in tech play by Harstem, but the Ghosts obviously are ready as well, so it's going to be a very interesting engagement. I mean, basically all the units you would normally see in this matchup are pretty much present at this point in time.
There's 5 Templar on the map here for Harstem, and he's making the rest into Archon.
Oh, I guess we're maybe thinking about those EMPs. Not quite throw them out. But we do see some Zealots running in, trying to harass that bunker, but there's a pretty quick repair. Not a whole lot going to happen there, but Thermal once again posturing. And let's see what he can do here.
Oh yeah, this is pretty tense because, of course, Nexus Cannon goes down. Does he get the EMPs off? Almost force fields off the Ghost. And now, actually,
this is a weird spot
going into a very strange spot and actually just focus down the Nexus. And Harstem seeing a bit, he's doubting. Now the Storms go down on the Bio, but nice kiting here by uThermal spreading his army. But it seems there's just too much stuff here from the Protoss and, traditional forced retreat.
Yeah, a fair amount of the high tech is killed for Harstem, and he does lose his Nexus, but does win the fight at the end. Zealot harassed at the top, continuing to do not a whole lot, but at the end of the day, Nexus goes down, and, well, that resources lost tab should be a little bit bigger at this point in time, and, well, we can see that uThermal did lose a little bit more there. So the engagement does go Harstem's way as far as the fight goes, but the Nexus does go down, which is really quite annoying for Harstem, and, well, when you're both in the same sort of macro situation, you really don't want to be behind that base for any point in time.
Something very important I wanted to point out, which is the fact that, of course, with the 3rd and the 4th being sniped, Harstem is on effective 2-base economy, meaning that uThermal will outproduce him even in the long run unless he gets these up quite quickly. He's rebuilding, and actually Harstem seems to want to take out this planetary, but taking a fight at a planetary fortress is usually not a good idea, especially if you don't have Storms at the ready. So many Protoss units already falling. And now the Storms finally come in, getting a lot of Bio hits, and it looks like he will only just buy it. Now the planetary fortress actually finishes, and this will force Harstem to retreat.
Yeah, I like the idea of trying to take that engagement before uThermal can really secure it with the planetary fortress, and the fight's actually not quite done yet. And well, with the power of the Archon and the Colossus, there's no Vikings right now to deal with this. Even this one Colossus is doing a pretty good bit of damage, but I mean, with the power of repair, you can't really take that out anymore. And like I was saying, as Factory dies, trying to float over that 3rd base, but I like the idea of taking that out before he can establish the position, but just not quite able to do it.
Yeah, it seems, of course, the 3rd has finished up again for Harstem, so I don't think he took too well of a trade there. Resources lost that doesn't really show, but Harstem doesn't have a whole lot of area of effect left in his army. He's got 3 Templar, with none of them actually have Storm. He has 1 Colossus, and I think if uThermal here micros correctly, he might even take out this Colossus, but he doesn't.
Dangerous way to walk for that Colossus,
huge EMPs.
Yeah, big EMPs on a lot of the Zealots. Both the Colossi hit as well. Now the Vikings try to start going to work, but well, let's see how well this Bio can engage once again. But this pylon here is in a very nice spot for the reinforcements. We'll get more Stalkers in, and well, these pylons. Well, he needs to take out that pylon for sure, and at least deny this warping point. That'd be really nice, but not quite able to get it. Actually, might lose a Viking or medevac. Nope, not quite. But yeah, I mean, warping in a bunch of Stalkers realizes how important these Colossi are right now. That is the majority of the splash, so really valuing protecting those by warping into Stalkers, not Zealots. But another attack at the 3rd base, and the bunker is taken out, but EMPs once again, and Colossus trying to go to work, and all these units are so low for Terran though, and that's the problem here. And the Colossus, I mean, it's only got a little bit of health left, but it's doing mad work on all of this Bio that's already really low health. And another Colossus joins the fray as well, and well, I mean, he's just whittling down uThermal, and the Zealots also forcing the 3rd to lift off.
I think uThermal so far has played almost perfectly, but the reason that Harstem has been consistently winning these engagements, or at least getting cost-effective trades, is the fact that he's ahead in upgrades by a huge amount. Another planetary fault, and this makes it very hard for uThermal to hold his ground here in the mid-game. He might try to pick off one more Colossus, but reinforcements already flooding in here for Harstem, and he's going to get another great fight here with these zealots tanking, the Bio army, having to fight back, and is Harstem just going to run him over here?
Yeah, Blink allowing him to chase down as well, and I mean, like you're saying, the upgrades, 3-3 Colossi are terrifying, as well, a little bit of an overextension here from Harstem, as he looks like he will be forced back, but more reinforcements trying to come in. Doesn't quite end. Pick up that Viking, there we go. And yeah, now the Colossi should be able to deal with the rest of this, and yeah, uThermal realizes the situation he's in as Zealots continue ravaging his base and calls the GG. So very well done by Harstem, and yeah, the upgrades, like you said, making a big difference there, and well, he kept switching back between the Ghost and the Templar. He went, the Colossi and the Templar, and I think that helped out quite a bit. He switched from the Colossi making one, then switching into the Templar, and then switched back again, and it made a huge difference.
Yeah, that's one of the main strengths of Protoss, of course, especially against Terran, because against Zerg, well, it doesn't really count because Zerg can switch tech even faster with Larvae. But what's really important to note is that the build that Harstem used, despite being, well, he just kind of got everything, you know, he got Colossi, he got Storm, he got upgrades, but what he did was make one Colossus and then transition directly into Storm, into forcing his opponent to overmake Vikings. Against one Colossus, you don't really need more than 4 Vikings. And to be honest, he only made like 7 or something, but it's still a significant investment that didn't end up doing that much for uThermal.